to the investify podcast, where ambition meets success. Today, we will be interviewing the founders of Hong Kong's biggest educational startup, All Round Education Academy.
Welcome Jay and Nish to our podcast. Could you guys please introduce yourself, like your educational background and those things?
Yep. So thanks for having us, guys. So I'll start off, and then Jay can introduce himself as well. So my name's Nish. I'm one of the co-founders at All Round. In terms of my educational background, I went to KG5, like a lot of you. I was class of 2008, so it was a long time ago. And then after that, I actually went to the UK, did my degree in economics at UCL, and then worked in the UK for about a couple of years before moving back to Hong Kong. So that's a little bit about my background.
Oh, that's nice. Did you also do Brambo as a KG5?
Yeah, so we did. I mean, it's still going on. It's still going on strong. We've actually seen a couple of the videos. I think a couple of your peers showed us some stuff like last year and the year before. So yeah, I mean, we were part of it. It's always a good time, and definitely KG5 were some of the best years of my life. So definitely a lot of fun. Yeah.
That's nice. Even this year, we're trying to continue the tradition. There's some issues now with like new leadership and everything, but we hope we can continue it.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, it is a good tradition. So hopefully you guys can continue it and pass it down as well.
Right, perfect. So my name is Jay. I'm actually, one of the directors here as well at All Round. Like Nish, I was born and raised in Hong Kong as well. I did not go to KG5. I actually went to Sha Tin College, which is another USF school as well. I ended up, studying economics and finance at HKUST. And in fact, while growing up, I was into sports, and I actually represented Hong Kong for their cricket team as well, for the under 13s and under 16s. So, but Nish and I, we are very similar in terms of our age. We're young, we like to push ourselves, and we have that mentality like that, we're always looking for a challenge. And I think that stems from playing sports. Like Nish and I, of course, played a lot of cricket together. And I think, that sort of drives us, and like the same mentality sort of runs on to All Round as well.
That's great. Even I played for the Hong Kong under 13 and 16 teams for cricket. Like I didn't make it past that, but then I played for those two.
I mean, I just made it till the under 16, so I did under 13 and 16, and then I didn't make it past that either.
Yeah, same here.
But I mean, I think it was a great experience. Like just getting selected or trying out and then working really hard for it. I think it really builds some character as well.
So next question is, we were wondering, when was All Round Education Academy founded, and how did you guys meet each other?
So it was actually founded in 2014. So actually, prior to All Round, Jay actually, when he was in Hong Kong, while he was at university, started a company called Value Education in 2013. And then when I returned, we both sort of, we knew each other like through a lot of family. We actually grew up together. Our sisters are like best friends. So, and they're much older than us. They're like 7 or 10 years older than us. So we sort of knew each other through family. And actually, while I was in the UK, I saw that Jay had started this, in Hong Kong, and started Value Ed. I did actually message him. It had been a while since we spoke. I messaged him a little, and then we sort of kept in touch. And then when I moved back to Hong Kong, Jay thought it would be a good idea for maybe us to work together. And then we basically rebranded. We started the company pretty much from scratch. I think we had about 10 students at that time, so it really wasn't that much. And then, we sort of then just took it from there and grew it to what it is today. So it's been a long road. It's been a challenging road. It's been 7 years or so. So it's been a while, but we are where we are now, and of course, we love doing what we do. So yeah, that's a little bit about how we met and how it was founded.
That's great. You guys said you had 10 people. So how was your first few months after that? Like, did you face any challenges, any problems in the first few, like the coming months of when you started it?
Yeah, so I actually think that's in terms of the first few months or the first few years, it was a really interesting sort of time, and there are many stories of what we sort of found, so as Nish said, before we actually started All Round, like before it was All Round, it was called Value Ed, and the idea behind it was, for me at least, it was just as simply put, like it would be the impact of a good tutor, right? So when I was at Shate and I was doing my IGCSEs, economics was like the first subject. It was, I mean, it was one of the subjects that I took, and it was completely new to me. And the first 3 to 4 tests, I ended up getting E's, and E's were not really something I was getting with other subjects. So it definitely shook me up. And at that point, I asked my parents, like, hey, I think I need a tutor because, this subject, I just can't seem to understand it or do well in it. And my parents were, they told me that we're happy for you to get a tutor, but you need to pay for it. So I had to basically tutor English, and then I had to pay for my tutor. And like every 2 hours of English that I tutored, I could afford 1 hour of econ tutoring, right? But the thing is, the econ tutor that I had was so freaking good. Like he helped me in terms of understanding, in terms of expectations, in terms of exam technique, in terms of, truly building an interest around economics as well, that I ended up studying econ at university. And I ended up getting A's at, at my, like for the GCSEs, and it just turned my mindset around. So, the impact of a good tutor is definitely big. And I definitely wanted to pursue that. Now, to answer your question further in terms of, the first few months or the first few years, one thing that makes us such good partners is that we do like to solve problems, and we do like to find opportunities at every stage, right? So in terms of that, like, initially you might have a zero marketing budget or a zero recruitment budget. It's all about making a plan and thinking about how you can make an impact out of everything. So if we didn't have a budget, let's say we had a zero recruitment budget, we have a zero recruitment budget, we have zero marketing budget, and we have no physical location, right? We can't pay any rent. We don't have money. Like we haven't invested in it, and we're very young at that point. So all we did was we invested in a website, and then what we decided to do was we decided to solve this problem. So we said, okay, right now we don't have a center, but we could easily, maybe recruit university students as tutors and offer home tutoring, right? And that way we don't need a center, and we'll start that way, right? And it worked. We used to interview tutors at PCC or at Starbucks. We made our own contract with the tutors, and then we even went to schools outside of schools, tried to give, like, certain brochures to find tutors, and then of course we worked a lot on this. And as we grew bigger, of course, we definitely changed the model, and we were able to really focus on quality and the services that we can offer.
So I think just to add one thing to that, I mean, in terms of the challenges, because of course, you guys are talking about challenges. So I think what Jay really said was true, of course, in terms of having no budget is a very big challenge in all departments. But another challenge that we also had initially, which, at the end of the day, our business is a very people orientated business. And this is something that doesn't change. In fact, the bigger we grow, the more people we deal with, right? So but what that basically means is, like, it's much easier when you have things like full-time tutors, tutors whose schedules you can control. I think a lot of the initial challenges were also based on the logistics of, not having the supply to actually meet the demand, because we didn't have full-time tutors. We were working with part-time tutors. We had to work with their availability. Of course, part-time tutors are not as reliable a lot of the times as full-time tutors. So through all of these events and through all of these things, we sort of learned how to grow and how to scale. So I think these were definitely some key challenges. And I don't think this is just in our business. I think similar challenges are found in a lot of businesses, to be very honest.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember the time where, like, transitioning from that home, just offering home, to Nish and I looking at the next stage. The next stage was, like, instead of, at that time, of course, as you guys know, Hong Kong is not a cheap place, right? Like property or rent, it's not as of course, it's not very cheap compared to the entire world. So the next step was to move into a serviced office where we might have had 1 or 2 classrooms, and it was, touring offices at TST, and then from that one classroom we then started adding more, one other classroom and another classroom, and then we started looking at central, and then we started with serviced offices there, and that eventually led to finally opening up our own locations, right? So it's a process of building, and it's all, you can't go from you can't have an idea and be like, hey, I want an education center, and poof, like you have a center ready and open, right? Of course, some people can do that if you have the budget and if you have investors, but initially as young guys who were, I was at university, and Nish was also very, very new to working, and it was all about taking it step by step and really building a solid foundation we can go from as well. Yep.
Okay,
That's
so
great. And we understand, some of your problems about like home tutoring and stuff. Because even me and Oren, we've had teachers coming home before, like for Chinese, like earlier on. And there are many difficulties. Like sometimes traveling is an issue, like if it's raining and all of those things. Your house, if you have people over and all of those things. But again, once you get into that center, all of these become much easier and like more reliable.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
So now All Round Education Academy has over 4 locations in Hong Kong. So what have been some of your marketing strategies to grow and expand your business?
So I think in terms of, our locations and in terms of our growth, so how did we actually go about it? So as Jay said, the first thing that we did was initially we started with zero budget. So what did we do? We basically tried guerrilla forms of marketing, right? Free marketing. Or very, very low budget. Okay, so as Jay said, try and hand out flyers. We ourselves did it. We went on the streets handing out flyers to students, potential clients who could maybe, join our center. Using maybe at that time, social media was not as big as it is today. I mean, it only seems like 8 years ago, but it definitely wasn't. Online marketing also hadn't taken the transition that it has right now. So as we started getting some students, so let's say we started with 5 students, then 10 students, and 15 students, then we used to sort of pretty much take whatever we earned and put it back into marketing. So I remember one of the first big things that we did was, we did minibus marketing. So I know if you go around, you see all those minibuses with the education centers on it. So we tried that. We actually tried it, I think, after being maybe 6 or 8 months into operation, whatever profit we had, we basically tried to invest in that, and we thought that was the greatest idea, and we would get a lot of students because we would get a lot of exposure. Actually, it was one of the worst investments that we've ever made. We only got 1 student from the minibus marketing, and it cost us a lot of money. And then but it's all a learning process at the end of the day. So after that, we sort of actually went to try and basically get into the online marketing game, and I remember just quite well where we actually met one guy and who runs a digital marketing company, and we actually were trying to get him to be our SEO or SEM, basically advisor. Now, what we actually did was we had actually told him that we wanted to actually start SEO and SEM, and he actually told us, okay, you guys are pretty small. Are you sure you want to do that? Is that something that you can actually afford? And he actually told us the best way to actually do it is to reinvest into your own into your own business and reinvest into your own clients. And that's pretty much where we thought of our referral program. So, that was a big success for us. We've offered referral programs. Then we took that money and started investing in SEO, SEM. And that's pretty much how, we've gotten to where we are right now. We do a lot of different forms of online marketing and referral programs and things like that. So those are our major strategies now.
Yeah, that's good.
That's great. But also, like, how do you guys retain your teachers? Because like knowing Hong Kong, right? Across Central, Kowloon, everywhere, there's so many educational centers. And like we know that some of All Round's teachers are one of the best teachers and all. So don't other centers come after them, or schools or something like that? How do you guys make sure they stay at your company?
So
Yeah, to answer his question, sorry, I was wondering how you keep your teachers motivated, especially during the COVID pandemic.
So I think these are all great questions, and I think the critical step over here is really understanding that the founders and the directors of the company set the tone throughout the company, right? It really depends on how Nish and I are as people and how we sort of approach each and every situation, right? And that sort of sets the tone in terms of everyone in our team. So as I said before, we're young, we're dedicated, we're hardworking. And I believe that these qualities sort of are, they easily rub off around the people that we work with, right? So, our mindset is very simple. Our students are at the heart of everything we do. And we do try to foster really good relationships with our key staff members. And we really try to reward them and instead of, we try to grow together, we try to build a partnership. So we really look at it in terms of, how can we reward our tutors well? How can we make sure that, they have what they need to succeed, right? Because for someone, it may be very simple, and they may just think like, oh, you have a tutor, you have a student, and that's it, right? But then when you run a company like this, you have to look at each and every detail meticulously, right? You have to think about, do our tutors have the right resources, right? So now that we have a team of over 80 teachers, right, there is a lot of synergy that is created between them in terms of sharing knowledge, sharing wisdom. The easier it is for a tutor to work with students, I believe that helps, right? And then at the same time, of course, not just, making sure that we aren't always comfortable, right? I think one of the biggest things that our company, what we do is that we're not always comfortable in terms of, okay, we're happy where we are, right? With COVID as as an example, I speak to a lot of students and parents, and they go, oh, your business must not be affected during COVID because you just move online. But the sort of mentality that we have here is not that. Yes, that's the case. In fact, if you truly look at it behind the scenes, we look at it as an opportunity, right? Like, let's say we're online and we're teaching, right? And we're having a lesson right now. Now, you may have a tutor that is completely new to this, and they may not know how to navigate, this sort of tools that can be used to make a lesson more effective online, right? I could potentially use an online whiteboard. I could use a lot of different things. I could bring in a stylus pen where I could write on my iPad or wherever it may be, and make it more interactive as a session. And I think not every tutor knows this, right? Like, no matter, you may have a tutor that has 30 years of experience, but with COVID, these are different sort of opportunities for us to embed in our tutors and provide them with the sort of the insight of like, hey, these are resources you could use, right? This is like, we could set up training for you to get better at teaching online. So that's the sort of mentality we have. And I think that, of course, when we're working with tutors, they see the value that we bring to them. They see that, number one, the amount of work we put in to make our company successful. And I think, in terms of building a partnership, I think that's one of the biggest reasons why we're able to actually retain our key talent, year after year after year as well.
Yeah. If people wanted to start learning at All Round Academy, how can they contact you guys?
So, I mean, they can reach out to us on WhatsApp. Jay and I are very active on WhatsApp. It's very easy to do that, or they can actually submit a booking form on our website as well. And of course, we would reach out, somebody on our team would reach out to them to lessons. So whichever way they find convenient, we're quite open either way.
Yep. So the website, of course, you could reach it at www.allround.edu.com, or simply you could, of course, just go onto Google and type All Round, and you should be able to find us as well.
So over the summer, what programs will you be providing for IB and IGCSE students?
So for summer, in fact, there are two different types of classes that are available for our students. So we do have weekly classes, where students can just opt to come in for one lesson per week or two lessons per week based on, of course, it's based on their progress, but we do offer weekly classes where students can work in a one-to-one setting with us, or in a, we have 3 different types of group classes as well. Alternatively, of course, during the summer, we also have specific topic-based revision and preparation courses, which is quite unique in Hong Kong, because I don't think any other center does it like us, where we, like, for example, let's say IB biology will have it, based on specifically what topic we're covering in each lesson. And you can choose to then, if you're, let's say, going into year 12, you can choose specific classes, like maybe you want to cover topics 1 and 2 before you start school. Or if you're going into year 13, it might be that you want to review certain topics that you've already covered at school, or even push ahead and learn new topics. So we do have a variety of different sort of summer courses for the main, international curriculums, including, like, to name a few, of course, we have IB, IGCSE, A-levels, SAT, and ACT, to name a couple. I mean, a few.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. I think that's all we have time for today. So if you guys, the viewers, want to enroll in a tutoring program over the summer, make sure to head to All Around Education. And once again, a big thank you to our guests, Jay and Nish, for coming on. We really appreciate you. And
Thank you,
to
guys.
all of
Thank
you
you.
viewers, make sure to subscribe and give it a big thumbs up and comment down below anything else you want. So that's all we have for today. Thank you for listening and make sure to stay tuned for our next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.